Florida and around the world on iHeartRadio. Remember, weekdays at 11 a.m. And if you can't make it to that appointment, you can catch the replay at midnight. And boy, do we have a great show for you today. I promised you yesterday it would be mesmerizing, and you'll see why it will be mesmerizing. And before we get into that, I want to welcome our guest from the Miami Hypnosis Center, Todd Goodwin. He's been here with us. Welcome, Todd. How are you?
Thank you, Dr. Waldo. Good to be here.
It's always a pleasure to have you. And Sheena Aizmendes.
Hi.
Did I pronounce it correctly,
yes,
Sheena?
Yes, you sure did.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
for having us here.
My pleasure. You're also an author, and we've been meaning to have you on board, so we'll get to comment on that as well. I'd love for the audience to know what you're doing and what you're going to be putting out. I don't know if it's out yet. Maybe should I be mentioning it or not yet?
Sure, of course.
Okay, beautiful. Let's do that during the show. And let's get started on a couple of things. Speaking of mesmerizing, I mean, you're going to be touching on hypnosis, and there's a big brouhaha on what just happened in Florida. We're going to get to that in a few minutes. There's a lot of concern. How safe is hypnosis?
Sure.
Can hypnosis hurt me? Can I do dumb things if I'm under the influence of hypnosis? And I mean, I'm a layperson in the subject, but I've also told people that you don't need to be hypnotized to do dumb things. We do them all the time.
True.
So
true.
hypnosis,
One of the ideas of hypnosis is to help people stop doing
dumb things.
Right.
So that's very interesting. And speaking of dumb things, if you haven't had enough, tonight is the first Democratic presidential debate. So you can catch that and then feel that you're normal after you hear them. It's just food for thought. The other was a circus, so I imagine this is going to be a mini circus, less people on stage. Should you build a wall to keep people out of your country? And I'm throwing this out to our guests. They can also comment. I hope they do comment, and you can also call in if you have any questions, 305-541-2350. Talking about the wall and how much they're actually budgeting the wall in our southern border. Almost 2,000 miles of wall, a little over $8 billion. So it's really something that can be done financially, but is it wise?
Can I jump in with that?
Absolutely. I'd love to.
I was having this conversation with someone recently, and I think it might be better investment to figure out how to put a wall around Florida so we don't get flooded in the next 20 years.
Yes.
Instead of keeping Mexicans out, maybe we should try to keep the ocean waves from flooding Miami.
Yep,
That's a
that
thought.
might be a great idea, and of course the question is rhetorical. I understand the problem with certain unwanted elements crossing the border. We've had that throughout history. Every country has. In Europe, it's rampant because it's really hard to keep people out with such small countries. But the fact is, it hasn't worked in history. China almost met its demise because of the wall. It started doing quirky things. It changed their economy. They did the fiat currency. Oh, so have we, right? Now we put up the wall, and it's not going to be good. I don't think that's a solution. I think the solution is awareness, mindfulness, and being engaged and working with other governments to make sure that people south of our border have opportunities. Perhaps since we've taken so much from America, from Latin America, maybe we want to give a little bit back and help them get on their feet and not have to jump over to the United States, which is a miserable existence for most of them. Let me tell you, they work very hard. They work many hours a day. They send money back home, and they're actually doing it to fulfill the need to feed their families. So it's not that glamorous as you might think. Well, we're coming to the United States for the American dream. They don't have American dreams. Okay, they're the nightmare. Their lives is the nightmare of the United States.
But as you know, that whole issue is really just kind of a bogus issue just to rile people up in the media.
Absolutely.
As a political football.
Yeah.
And I think any politician, this is only a side area of my knowledge. I'm not an expert like I am about hypnosis, but I can tell you that I know that the media loves to jump on anything that will get people watching, and the politicians are smart enough to know this and disingenuous enough and maybe cynical enough about humanity that they don't believe the American people are smart enough, and in many cases they're right, and so they actually go to them and say, okay, we know these people are stupid enough to buy this whole, Mexicans coming across with guns, like the Donald Trump thing. Even though last time I saw it, more people are leaving the United States than coming in from Mexico.
Because there's not that many opportunities here anymore.
But at least it gets the base excited.
Yes, and something very interesting, it also keeps us distracted from more important issues. Like, for instance, several experts around the world are predicting a third major economic collapse worldwide. And that is something very concerning. So if you keep us distracted and there's shootings and you want to take the weapons away, it's all about the fear mongering and what's it called when you don't like people or you don't like strangers, you're afraid of strangers? Xenophobia. So they want to make us xenophobic by design. And it's not in our nature. Our nature is to be weary, but not xenophobic. And that's what they're moving towards. And I think we should focus on more important issues. Here's something that happened in a country, and as a matter of fact, some experts are even saying that we're seconds away from World War III. Seconds away from World War III. I guess World War II and one are passé after over. Yeah. So we got to find a World War III. Here's something that happened in Guatemala. The people in a village